Delicate, delicate. I don't want any of these cables to fall out. I'll get disconnected from the internet if my Ethernet cable falls out. So I just got to be very careful with it. It's about 20-30 meters long. It goes all the way to my living room where the router is, but I'm just sitting here in my bed in the far corner of my tiny flat. But apparently it's still a struggle to get internet into the far corner of a flat because technology. Okay. Welcome back, everyone. Yeah, I want to give a quick shout out to whoever followed me, because I don't feel like I say it enough. I always find that kind of nice. Nice that, I'm kind of succeeding in, I don't know, I guess spreading enthusiasm for distributed systems and just like being, I don't know, doing something worthwhile and fun, something I'm learning from, but something that other people can look at and actually enjoy. So that's cool. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna work. Where we were just at the end of last session, which is 3 days ago, because apparently I take long ass breaks. I meant to sort of restart yesterday, but I was just busy with like another Pokemon Go thing. To be honest, it was a new quest was released, and I decided I fancied speedrunning it. It's going well so far, although I almost threw the run twice to not understanding a glitch correctly. But it seems to be okay now. I seem to be on the correct cycle to be able to do the best that I can with in my country and with my phone. So I've been playing optimally, I think. Them ones when someone tells you they're speedrunning Pokemon Go, like, it's not a game that even has its own leaderboard, but there it is. So I said I would start Part C, so I'm doing Distributed Systems by MIT, talking kind of off the cuff, slightly disinterested, but I'll be a bit more on it when I actually get into the work. I'm doing, MIT, wait a second, so this is, just camera and microphone, and we are live, the cable has not yet fallen out, lol. No, this should be in the corner. I mustn't. Yeah, the thing about the camera is if I minimize it, it freezes on Streamlabs, so I just have to be careful. So head's working, mic's working. I'm still live. Okay. 3-point check. Pre-flight checks. But yeah, MIT, they have 4 coursework projects for their graduate distributed systems course, 6.824. It's all on my stream page. I'm in the middle of the second one, which is on Raft, a consensus algorithm. It's kind of like a democracy among computers. How this algorithm works, it's a bit strange, but it's been a blast so far, I have to say. And I've done the first 2 parts, which more or less they basically cover the whole algorithm except for persisting, so that if a server crashes and restarts, it's as if it didn't lose any of its session, so it can just pick up where it left off. And so that putting that into the code is going to be what part C is going to be about, and that's the last part. Once I've done that, I'm done with Raft. So I will have 2 projects under my belt, and there'll be another 2 remaining. Jane hat. This is a hat I got from, I think it was Urban Outfitters. I don't know what Jane is. Is Jane like a tribe? An American Indian tribe or something along those lines, and they all have a traditional headwear or something like that. Obviously, having brought it from like a commercial ass place off the internet like that, I have no idea. It just has a nice pattern, but I have no context on what it is other than that. Curious question. Yeah, I don't usually wear a hat. I guess hats do raise questions. Oh shit! I haven't seen Firefly. Um, That's interesting. I'll have to look that up. Although possibly I should watch Firefly, so spoil the free way. But okay. Yeah, no, I have no idea. I have no idea. That's cool. Um, I'm still playing this stupid CP train game, by the way. If you haven't seen this, on my local Discord for Pokemon Go, we're just posting. So each Pokemon has a kind of number associated to how good it is. And so I'm just waiting to post 2144 here, but that relies on other people posting theirs early enough. So that's kind of semi-distracting, but whatever. It's in the back of my mind. What I will do before I start on part C, is there are a couple of bits and pieces that I just wanted to clear. Um, so what I'll do is, I said I would read MIT's kind of guide thing, this little document that they wrote about Raft. It should only take 5 minutes. I said I'd read it off stream, but just didn't get around to it with how busy I've been. And also, what I wanted to do is go through my code so far and just throw in a few comments. And the reason I want to do that is more because I'm sending this out to employers. I'm still looking for a job, and so if there are comments pointing out like the really cool bits of the algorithm, I think that would be good. So I already have some comments, but I'll just throw in a few others as well. It's awesome. One of the characters wears that hat in one of the episodes. Yeah, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. That's a good enough reason. That's a good enough reason. Can I link you something cool about Raft? Yeah, anytime. Go for it. Go for it. Link away. Yeah, all chat activities always appreciated. I quite enjoy it. And I think today I'm in a chill mood, so I'm just. It's okay if I'll start part C soon, but I'm not fussed. I'll get onto it when I get onto it. So yeah, link it. I'll check it out. So I'll do those things that I said I would do. First of all, I'm going to go through my code and put in some comments. So we'll get a blitz trip through the code. All of it done. So okay, yeah, it was part B and that's done. So I'm not going to dwell on it too much. So I'm not going to talk about it too much. But I am just going to throw in a few comments, reminisce over the best bits of the code so far. The fuck? New user sets up distribution of code for Windows. I don't care. The reason I'm gonna start this so that I can check it out later. I don't care enough to read it now, but I don't want it to disappear and then never be able to find it again. These updates. Scrap. Oh shit. No. What do I want? I want Oh, I opened it in the wrong folder. Sorry. I need to, yeah. Where you load Visual Studio Code is key. It has to be in the root directory of the project. Ah, where have I seen this URL before? Yeah, if you check out the bottom right of my Twitch panels, the stuff underneath the stream, I have this URL there. It's listed as an illustration of Raft, and it was kind of fundamental for me because yeah, MIT linked it in the project page for the coursework, so I have seen it. And it's the thing that I send out to anyone who doesn't know what Raft is. I'm like, look at this first. What was that noise? I thought I heard a chat message, but I'm not on like Facebook or anything. Yeah, and it was. Uh, what do you mean? You read the MIT's course page? Yeah, it was pretty fundamental in me understanding how data is passed through Raft. So the input, the write, the commit, the output of the data. Having those as a step-by-step phase, I picked that up pretty much from looking at how one piece of data moves through the algorithm. And that was illustrated by this, because the rest of the projects I did using a blueprint, which is from the academic paper, which is this thing, and the way that this has been set out, right? The way that this has been written, obviously, if you see how it's been categorized, there's just no way you can figure out what happens to a single piece of data, in what order it's processed. because everything is all over the place, and so that illustration, the secret lives of data, that was pretty essential for me to be able to figure that out. Yeah, thanks. I wonder, yeah, yeah. I wonder where else you send it, like on what other streams, and if they're programmers or if it's just a random stream and you're like, hey yo, look at this shit. Yeah, no, I sent it. I had like this job interview, not really an interview, but like a chat with some guys, and I was like, they were interested in distributed systems, but they didn't know about Raft, and so I just wrote wrote down the URL from memory on the back of a napkin. So yeah, it's cool. CP train is on 2141. My Pokemon is 2144, so 2 left. Okay. I need to switch this to mobile data, or else I might miss it. Because yeah, I'm kind of out of range of my router, Wi-Fi wise. I clicked on that actually before you sent the message, but there it is. Where am I searching and what sort of roles? I'm based in London, UK, and looking for roles in well, yeah, in London, mostly on the like metro lines that I can actually access, like that I have easy journeys from. But yeah, basically just central London, and I'm looking for just yeah, I don't really care what kind of software, anything to start with. Perhaps I'm a bit kind of disinclined towards front end, right? Because even though I've never done it before, I'd like to do it a bit to find out what it's like. But I don't think I'd like it as much as the sort of back end stuff. And I think distributed systems, actually, more generally, concurrent coding, um, is probably the most interesting kind of programming I've done. So if I had the opportunity to work on something like that, that would be awesome. But yeah, just tech jobs among startups and these kinds of places. I graduated maths, right? So it's been a bit of a struggle to find a job because experience, first job, not knowing a lot. Most basic CompSci I don't know. I've done distributed systems without having done operating systems, algorithms, concurrency 101 or whatever, threading and whatever. So it's been a bit of a struggle. London fam, yes. Uh, wow, that's cool. Yeah, yeah, no, it's cool. I wonder if there's anything that I don't know that I should know. If you see what I mean about how to find a job, the kinds of stuff that I've been applying for. Um, I mean, I think it's just the kind of rite of passage. The first job is just always a struggle to get. I do feel like I missed out a bit in terms of internships because while I was doing my maths degree, I really only wanted to focus on the maths degree. I didn't want to do anything else. But yeah, so I kind of buried my head in the sand a bit and just said, okay, I graduate, then I look for a job, and even if I start with an internship, that's cool. But it's just been a bit, I don't know, a slight struggle to find one. But I don't know. Yeah. This is typical. Um, this has happened to me twice so far, I think. In fact, one of the companies that said this is they said we're looking for a senior distributed systems engineer, and then I was like, that's it, that's it, and that's why I started this project. Well, that was what gave me the motivation that pushed me over the edge. Um, that was, I think, Pusher. They're based in Liverpool Street ish. They do a kind of messaging, kind of messaging service. And one of my projects that I did before distributed systems was a bot that sends messages for rare spawns in Pokemon Go. Um, and so I thought I'd be down for a project that's based on messaging, but alas, they're only looking for seniors. Quantrolls, there's an endless supply of systematic trading firms that want mathsy coders. I interviewed at Pusher years ago. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you succeeded or didn't succeed, or if you got the job but turned it down, or I don't know. Tell me if you're comfortable. I'm just much smaller back then, and I was junior. I guess like I am now. Yeah, that brings me on to what you said. I'm in Hammersmith, right, and I found a quant job in Hammersmith, so I was like, I don't particularly want to do finance. Yeah, I want to do something that's practical, where I feel like I'm contributing something that's going to be useful to people that will kind of improve society in some sense, even if it's a private thing. Um, but quant is, I mean, I guess it's interesting enough. I just have never been intrinsically, as in, I've never found finance intrinsically interesting. Um, and so I haven't been looking for those. But when I saw it was in Hammersmith, I was like, yep. So I've applied for that. I'm gonna do a bunch of the usual algorithms tests, right? Yeah, no, I'm curious as well. Like, what you which company you're with now. Not even just for getting a job. Just kind of curious about the path of someone. 7 years of programming, what you start with, and where you end up. That kind of stuff. I don't meet that many people because everyone I know is from like my age and my university, so they're all like first jobs only at the moment. Finance can be cool. I work at there you go. Starling Bank, if that's of any interest to you. New banks are fun. Right, yeah. It's a bank. It's not. I mean, there are lots of new like hedge funds, proprietary trading funds, all this shit. But a new bank, other than a new high street bank, we had one of those a few years ago. But otherwise, yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't know too much about new banks. I'll definitely give it a Google afterwards. No problem with that. Yeah, I'm always on the lookout for job opportunities, even though I am a bit selective. I'll typically say like, okay, I'm not necessarily going to apply to this job if it's kind of even if it's just a hassle to get to. I find Old Street a bit. That would be an hour commute every day, for example, which is a slight stretch. But okay, maybe that's not such a big deal. But like even things like, oh, if it's too front end oriented, if it's mobile app programming, I feel a bit slightly off put because mobile apps are just kind of terrible. At least I've always found they just are dysfunctional compared to desktop apps, and maybe that's put me off. It's like I wouldn't be able to program a mobile app that's at my standard of how reliable I want things to work, or how reliably I want things to work. And maybe that's why I've just been doing stuff on servers that doesn't have a user interface so far. Improbable hiring infinitely because they just got 500 million. Oh my god, is that dollars? Yeah, fucking hell. I know someone who works at Improbable. I applied to Improbable and got rejected immediately because zero commercial experience. I'm in a slight pickle for the fact that I have nothing, right? I don't have an internship. I have a crap ton of personal projects. Um, Not even open source, just stuff that I did for myself and put up on GitHub. And this is one of those things. I feel exactly the same as you, Ari, front end and mobile apps. It's a chaotic and horrific world. Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I have to deal with Pokemon Go all the time now, and but the bugs in those are just inexcusable, and so I think that's just the final nail in the coffin. Yeah, but do you think they had to hire somebody who? Do you think like they were looking for so many people that they were hiring people who had never had jobs before? Yeah, because I think my friend was hired a year ago. I actually know someone else who works in Improbable as well. They're both computer scientists from the year below mine in my university. Um, and also, I was going to say, by the way, I remember reading on Glassdoor that Improbable just became a slightly strange place to work at because the funding went to the CEO's head. maybe I'm spreading rumors by saying that. It's just something I read on Glassdoor, and it kind of checks out because Improbable is just the most kind of bipolar reviews on Glassdoor. It's like people going, "Oh, it's a really nice, welcoming place." Everything they say about their like, the one. What was it that they said? They have relentless modesty. Relentless modesty. It's like, oh, we will definitely replace each other with better people if we know someone can do our job better. Something ridiculous like that, and then it's like, oh yeah, Improbable lives up to all these ideals, and then the other comments are talking about like shadow orgs and secretive like mystery politics happening in the office and this kind of stuff, which I guess is just, I don't know, any company that's has like really big growth pains along the lines of Improbable. Do the big US tech firms appeal to you? Google, Facebook. Um, Lol. Oh my god, Glassdoor. I did an interview with Softwire. Softwire aggressively advertises in my university. So we have a no, what the fuck? We, we, I know sort of, I have some friends who play a card game and they call themselves Chinese Gambling Society just because, I don't know, someone called them that. Because they play this Chinese card game called Tractor. And all of the cards are always Softwire. Softwire has about 80% market share of card decks um, in my uni. So yeah, what was I saying about Softwire? Sorry, I got distracted. Yeah, that was one of the companies where they were like, "Oh, we need you to confirm you have not seen any of our interview questions," and because it was a pre-selection interview, I didn't care and I just said, "Yeah, okay." And Glassdoor. um, yeah, okay. Well, I guess this ties in with what you said, by the way, about what you said about the big US tech firms via startups. So yeah, for sure, like tech firms do, the big ones do appeal to me to an extent. One of the key things I would like, although I'm sure I can compromise it if it doesn't work out, is that I would really like to find a job that's the team is small enough that you get a decent cross section of skills, because I'm doing, this is a project in Go on distributed systems. The previous one was JavaScript. It was a web API crawler and message sender. The one before that was Python maths coursework, pure maths using Python integers. This stuff. And so I would like to, I'd like to do maybe some practical distributed systems. I'd really like to look into machine learning, um, all this stuff. And so I'd like a company that, a bit of front end, I don't, it's fine, just has this cross section. And I'd also really like to be able to see the impact of my own work. So not work in just some cog in an IT machine type situation. In like a big bank, I've not even thought about applying to a massive bank, for example. Barclays graduate schemes in general, I'm kind of skeptical of them for that reason. So for that reason, I'm interested in a startup. The one I applied to one recently that was pretty nice. Got rejected, unfortunately, because commercial experience but they had a 4-person tech team and you do everything, and so that's the kind of thing that I would like. Was it you or my stream? I have had my stream die, but it's only happened. Whoops, sorry. It's only happened twice in a total of about 20 sessions. It might have been your internet. You can check. I'm not sure I should check. It might break my computer. If it's back now. Is it back now? Because it says live, 0 dropped frames. I think it's okay. But yeah, you can check by looking on Twitch videos on demand. You can just see, is the latest video on demand approximately up to how long I've been streaming, and if it is, then yeah. So that's one of the reasons I've not been pursuing big tech firms that much. But at the same time, I wouldn't mind it. If I can find listings for big tech firms, I would totally go for them. but they don't tend to advertise that much on my university career service, so I don't automatically. But I was looking for an Amazon job that was suitable to my skill set or my level of experience, i.e. none. And I just couldn't find one. They had like 200 entries. I had no way of filtering it, and that's the kind of stuff that's the kind of problem I have with big companies. So I'm not against working for a big company, but there are just a few things that have sort of put me off. Yeah, my reason for not pursuing big tech firms. So what I just said about finding it, they don't advertise on my career service, and they have a fuck ton of listings up at any given time. But the other thing I said was that I'm more inclined towards startups because um, you get to do a cross section of different areas of tech. You can do front end, back end data, all this stuff. Everyone does everything. Um, like the 4-person team that I applied for and didn't make recently was like that. And the other one was that you get to see the fruits of your actions if you're working in a small team. What you do is a big part of the whole thing, and you get that satisfaction from having contributed to something. It's your own work that you can see. So those things, and I'm not saying that doesn't happen in a big company, particularly if it's bought a small company like DeepMind. Does that count as as a a big tech company, even though it's owned by Google? Um, yeah, so that's why. But I'm saying also I'm really not disinclined towards big companies. If I can find listings and I can sort of assess them and say, oh, if it's a small team, I mean, I don't want to be that picky. I've not had a job for ages, and I'd really like one. But certainly, like a corporate bank, a massive bank, I would always say no to that on those grounds. Yeah, okay. This pop up. Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. I'll take a look at the company. The bank even. I'm curious about it. But yeah, it's that happens. Conversely, one of my friends picked up a slightly lower paid job in Amazon because he liked his boss. I wonder if he still likes his boss. I should ask him. Everyone gets overworked, whether you're in a startup or a big company. There's no like Amazon sounds pretty slave drivery to me. Um, oh, by the way, yes. So I haven't replied to your message about which one? Smarket. So I have another friend who applied to Smarkets. Fun fact: he works at Improbable first. He works at Improbable. No worries about hijacking the stream, by the way. I'm in that kind of mood where I'm completely easy whether or not I do work, and I will just keep streaming until I finish this project. So usually I don't have an audience, so it's totally fine. Like I just get on with things. But no, I'm always happy for a chat. Um, Later on, I will do some work, I'm sure. But yeah. So guy in the year above mine applied to Improbable, got the job. He failed probation, which is interesting, and everyone says it's kind of a special case. He ended up sort of on a bad team, was forced to work really hard. It was kind of out of his depth for some reason. I'm not even sure. But sure, okay, he failed probation and he found his next job at Smarket. He also told me to he recommended me a recruiter who got him that job, who apparently is good for hiring people into these kinds of jobs, and I haven't yet taken up that lead. So thanks for reminding me. It is a small world, isn't it? London startups. You will have heard of a lot of them, I'm sure. Oh, that's what you mean. That's what you mean. Yes, everyone said that. Everyone said that. Um, yeah, and I don't know. I guess it's a formality. I guess there was probably a serious reason he couldn't do it, and it's like it was probably a good decision not to do it. Oxford Knights, the name of the recruiter. Nah, the recruiter was a person. I swear down, the recruiter was a person. Did he have an affiliation with the recruiting company? I don't remember. I will check that on Facebook. I'm not sure I want to put Facebook up on my stream. God knows what my messages are about. But yeah, I'll definitely check that at some point. Because he do I have another phone? I don't know. I'll check it later. No, just I don't know, some guy. He looked like a bit of a hippie from his profile picture, but could well just be that company. I don't know. Yeah. No, chat is good. You know, I enjoy it. It mixes things up a bit. I'm still pretty chill about what I'm. This message popped up again. Before I start part C, I'm gonna do a blitz run through my code, and that's not going to require much concentration because all I'm doing is putting up some comments so that if a recruiter reads it, they find something interesting. Such narcissism, you know. You don't know the narcissism. After that, I'll just read through something MIT sent, and then I'll start part 3. In earnest. But yeah, chat was good. I need to meet more people who are just kind of in that position where they've been through that process of getting a job, and it's not just their first job because everyone I know is just on their first job. So, you know, and anytime you want to chat about that, I'm all ears. Whether it's on stream or I don't know how else you communicate with people on Twitch, but I'm also on Twitter. Okay, what's going on? Oh, well, this isn't even my code. Okay, what should I look at? Let's just go through these files quickly. So, like the candidate, for example. Look at this completely trivial function. All it does is run another function. That's just there just because I want to have a function called initialize the candidate phase, and then I also want to have a function that loops itself and is like, okay, I call an election. I'm not gonna edit that. I can't be bothered. But I mean, if I had known in advance that I would be not doing anything else the first time I initialized candidate. Well, my code earlier actually it looped the candidate back on itself. So at the end of this function, it would tail recurs onto itself. But then I changed that. I made a big design decision. I said if the candidate loses a vote, it doesn't become candidate again. It becomes follower. So followers do become candidates obviously later on, but having the timeout is kind of important, and so that's why there's no tail recursion left. So yeah, I'm just going to put in those kinds of notes. Candidate check is pretty, you know, says what it is on the tin. Voted for is reset on each new term, and term is monotonic. Term is always increasing, and so this implementation makes sense. Just set it to -1, which represents nobody, because it's an index. It's kind of JavaScript notation. -1 is the index in the array of peers, representing no one, none of the peers. Yep, args is pretty much does what it says on the tin. Channel to collect votes. Yep, vote count does the same thing as that. Majority is the majority criterion. This is really a constant, what the majority. I may as well have written const majority equals this thing. I guess that might even be more idiomatic, but I don't know. I don't care. CP, oh god, CP train is still not happening in Pokemon Go. Still 2 more people need to post messages. Replies, yep, yeah, this is where all the replies are saved, and this is just sending out all the votes. Await the votes. So election reset is all about things that trigger election resets are triggered by newer leader / candidate. This is just kind of approximately what this is. Don't need to be too detailed in my comments. Oh, whatever this is, explicit election timeout. No, it turns out that's not necessary. Forget about that. Just an old idea I had about doing something slightly differently. If vote count exceeds majority, then just break. Do candidate check again. This is a subtlety that I'd like to point out because it's not clear in the vote. It's not clear in the way I've programmed it because it's not clear what the second argument of phase change is. The second argument is whether this code should be called synchronously or asynchronously. So this is synchronous once leader working ASAP, and this is asynchronous because because it's low priority. You know, the thing, if it loses the votes, it just becomes a follower. So these are the kinds of comments I want to put in just before I start part C, which is about persistence. It's about resilient state, even if the program breaks down. Okay, so apply entries. Called whenever commit index incremented. Yep, whenever commit index is incremented. It runs this loop to you know, sync last applied up to commit index. Every time it increments last applied by 1. Let me just check stream is still working. 36 minutes, camera is okay. Mic, yep. Single monitor streaming, by the way. Ooh, fun, stressful as fuck. Yep, the apply channel is the output. This is, just deliver data to its final destination. Doesn't really need to be commented about, I don't think. Yeah, and this also kind of speaks for itself. The phase change function is just, this is synchronous, this is asynchronous, depending on whether sync is true or false. But where I call it, see, I've described here it's synchronous, and here I've described it's asynchronous. Whatever. Term sync is, oh my god, term sync is very subtle. I'm not sure it's worth me describing how it works in the code itself. I have it written down in the my sketch notes for Raft, which there's a direct link that's on my GitHub repository scrap folder, but there's a direct link on my stream page. So I'll just, before I check chat again, I'll just do a quick message here saying term sync compares terms during RPC exchange and syncs up to latest. Syncs. How do you say the servers that send and receive an RPC? What are they called? Like exchangees. And syncs up servers or whatever to latest term. That's what term sync is about. My term and other term, those are both, it's clear what those do. And this is again resets upon term increase. Yeah, then there's just a print debug statement, and it returns what's the way of putting this in maths speak? The what does this even return? It returns -1 if my term is less than other term, and +1 if my term is greater than other term, and 0 if they're equal. So this is slightly cryptic for any programmer who's looking at this, but whatever, I'm not that bothered. It's just, these are just comments that are just not even that necessary, because it's my own project, so the comments are for myself, but they're just kind of there to give a hint as to anyone who's reading, if they find it interesting. client and server. Yeah, client and server, the three words there. That I ended up just putting server. Oh, client. What? As in client and server, the RPC communication. RPC is the protocol that servers use to communicate between each other. So they are both servers. Client is not that relevant. Most of the interface stuff is actually in a different file. I haven't looked over it yet. It's raft.go. It handles stuff relating to the client, but everything else is just server internals and communication between the servers themselves. Comparator. Yeah, literally. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, because I haven't been able to sort of track because I'm kind of blitzing through it all quite fast. So I'm not sure which comment you're talking about here because I've already put in like 5 comments. I should, yeah, I'll check chat instantly from now on. But yeah, which comment were you talking about when you said both of these things? Um, else if my term equals other term. Do I want these comments? Because if it's just there kind of for anyone who's looking over my if someone's not familiar with Go, do I want to explain Go idioms in my comments? It's probably not worth it. I mean, if I want to say here, this is an anonymous function that's designed to just do an asynchronous thing once. Ah, the comment about a function being called whenever a thing is incremented. Likely to fall out of date as you write more code. Well, actually, it's funny that you say that because the reason I did that, and this is a subconscious thing. I think I didn't say it as I was doing it, but the reason that I did it is precisely that I had implemented it a different way beforehand. The way that I implemented apply entries before is that I was running. This is really bad, by the way. I can't believe I did this. I was running an infinite loop in the background, in a background thread that was locking, checking, unlocking, and tail recursing. That had a incredible performance penalty, and it took me 3 or 4 hours to figure out what I'd done wrong. And so that was my original implementation. And so now I'm saying this is called whenever this thing is incremented. That's how it now works. Because before it was called in the background upon initializing all the server code, as in all the code for that server. And so it was run as a Go routine. And so that's yeah, I see what you mean. It's kind of fan. I knocked down my fan because I laughed. Yeah, it was. I don't know what I was thinking. The funny thing is, as well, um, in my scrap notes, I was just kind of so indecisive. I was like, do I, this stuff that the has to be continually monitored. So like the leader, if you read the blueprints, right here, it says if commit index exceeds last applied, then increment last applied and do the apply thing. So this check should always be happening in principle. And it says here rules for servers. So it's kind of like, oh, this is the thing that should just always be happening. And so I was like, well, there are a bunch of other things that are always happening. And if it's the leader that's always doing it, so if it's just, leader rules, then I can sync that up with the heartbeat because the heartbeat is always running. And so every heartbeat I can do that. And so that's easy. But if it's a follower or something that's just waiting but is not running a loop of code over and over again, then I was thinking, well, how do I then get it to keep checking something? I was thinking I don't have the leader code that's running all the time, so I can just do it on each iteration because the leader code has a timeout. That means that it's not like going crazy, going ham. So then I just thought, okay, I'll just run a background Go routine. That should be okay. But then I realized, yeah, obviously there is a trigger for this happening, namely commit index getting incremented somewhere. And so that's the full story behind that. It's interesting how, that's why I didn't see it coming, if you see what I mean. I thought, okay, maybe it's a bit dodgy doing this, but surely the performance penalty isn't that bad, because how else do I implement this? And then I was like, duh, I can just check whenever this is incremented. And yeah, that's just how it goes, I guess. Yeah, what you say here, but one end is usually a client and the other is a server. If the communication goes both ways, then they'll both. Oh, okay, yeah. As in, you're saying because of it's something sends an RPC to something else, then you're saying the sender is a client and the receiver is a server. I guess that's what you mean, in that sense. I've been calling them sender and receiver, whereas I've reserved client and server for the Raft servers and the client, which is the service that uses Raft. Like there's a key value server that I'm supposed to design in the next project, that kind of stuff. But yeah, if that's what you mean, for sure, yeah, client and server. Um, Even if it's just an internal communication. Fair enough. Fair enough. Uh, yep. This comparison, if my term is less than other term, I um, I don't even need to. It's like you say, I don't need to put bare comments in my code. Like it says, this is pretty clear what it means. I become follower, and this is pretty clear what it means as well. I update my term. So update term and become follower. That's what's supposed to happen when this happens. If they are If they are equal, what happens? If they are equal and it's a receiver, then it sends an election resets. This I feel ought to have a bit of extra context. If I am receiver and the terms are the same, why is this under equals, but nowhere else? Well, because here I become a follower anyway. Here, I've confused myself. What even? Wait. No, election reset. The whole point of this was, I tell myself that I need to reset election if I'm receiving an RPC, and the thing that has sent the RPC, its term is greater than or equal to mine, because that's react. I'm calling it react. The whole idea is this is the criterion for when I should react as the receiver of an RPC to the RPC that was sent. The sender has to have its term greater than or equal to mine. And that's not explicitly written anywhere. It's just one of the design decisions that I made, and it seems to work. It's just, okay, fine, equals, but surely this should also be happening if the term of the sender is strictly greater than the term of the receiver. Yes, but in that case, I'm running phase change to follower anyway. But the thing about phase change to follower is that doesn't necessarily automatically trigger an election reset. But my code still seems to work, despite that. That's weird. So what should be happening here, I'm pretty sure, is, if my term is less than the other term, I should still be resetting my election. If I am not the follower, then that doesn't matter, because when I become follower, I will start with a reset election. But if I am already a follower and I'm just saying, okay, I need to keep being the follower, there's nothing here that's resetting an election? Is there? It's definitely, I need to be less than the other term, and it also has to be that I'm receiving, because senders should not be resetting their own election timeouts. But it's just, if I am receiving, I should definitely be. But no, if I receive append entries from the leader, then I automatically reset election anyway. If I receive vote request from the leader, from a candidate, then should I be resetting my election timeout? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. If I'm the follower and I receive a vote request from a candidate. that is it's just a slight clash between the sort of axioms that I laid down for how I want this to work and how I ended up implementing it in practice. Gotta get some sleep. Followed me on Twitter. No worries. Thanks for stopping by. And also I hope you like the random shit that I post about on Twitter. I don't post about programming that much. I don't even post about like maths, computer science. I mean, a lot of my life is about that, but the stuff I tend to post about is more music and video games. But I imagine if I had a job, I'd be posting about lots of cool programming stuff and that kind of stuff. I don't know. Tweets, you just tweet whatever you want to. Cool. Get some sleep. Yeah, London is a bit late, I guess. Hopefully I'm not going to go past midnight. But thanks for stopping by, and it was great to chat with someone who's been through it before. Yeah, I might even hit you up for some advice if I have a specific question. Hopefully I'll get a job soon. Cool. See you later. I don't even remember. Should I send an election reset signal? If I do, I'd have to retest all my code, but I'm going to be retesting all my code anyway, so fuck it, let's do it. In what situation is this bad? I've already identified the situation in which maybe I shouldn't be doing this. And that situation is if a candidate sends me, and I am already a follower, but a candidate sends me a vote request, and that candidate has a higher term than mine, should I then submit and reset my election timeout? Or should I not reset my election timeout? In which case, split election is more likely. Do you know what? It's really not a big deal. I don't think this causes problems in performance or anything. It's just technicality because if something's become the leader, it sends messages out, and the candidate is allowed to get interrupted. If a candidate fails an election, it becomes a follower anyway. So I think it's fine. Really, we don't care. We don't care. What? How is there a star here? How is there a star there? What does this mean? No idea. I still don't know enough about Twitch. It's like when people post in colored text, that kind of stuff. I have no idea. Okay. Yeah. So what am I saying here? If sender receiver equals yeah. So AppendEntries already manually triggers an election reset. The AppendEntries receiver, if something receives an AppendEntries, it will. There's a message somewhere that says like, "Oh, my election timeout was reset." Huh? Where does that happen? I mean, I can Control Shift F through my entire project to just find the word reset. It's one of my print debug statements. Here it is, explicitly has a reset statement. Okay. So it's at the point where election reset is actually received. Yeah, that's not happening during votes, but it is happening during my reactions to. To be honest, I think I would just feel more comfortable if I sent in stammer. To be honest, I think I would feel more comfortable if I sent in an election reset. If in this case as well as in this case, even if the thing is not already a follower. Servers are rarely not followers, so it's not like I'm going to get stacks and stacks of election reset messages. And election reset is a channel that, does it have a buffer? Does it have a? I'm really not sure, to be honest. You know, obviously election reset is triggered if the terms are lined up correctly. And that's usually what happens in a stable environment. But the election reset channel, I have to be careful about this. Go to definition, because this does not have a buffer. So I can get codes to pretty much freeze if I'm not careful with how I send election resets. Oh, but that's why I'm sending them in concurrent Go routines. Okay, that's not even a problem. That's fine. Okay, but I honestly, I do believe I should be sending election resets in here. Not in the phase change, but like here. So yeah, we send election resets in both of these situations. Oh yeah, but the thing does have to be a receiver. Still. Oh, the Pokemon are coming through. I'm ready to post my 2144. I just need one more message. Because my phone is just in the corner of my eye. I can just immediately spot that when it happens. Yeah, so we have the three cases. I don't care too much about redundant codes. So I'm going to post this code in twice. It happens in both the less than and the equality case, but I don't care. I may as well just have them both there. It doesn't necessarily become a follower in this case, but it does trigger an election reset. But actually, no. If I do split it up, then I can at least comment it, can't I? I can comment the code more easily. Okay, I'm going to do that. I can now type it out like this. Sender receiver equals receiver. Then I send out the election reset. And so now it is happening in the less than case as well as the equality case. My term. TS react is what I'm calling this. Should I receiver wait, this isn't React. This is something else. What did I call it again? I did call it election reset, I think. And I wrote about it in my code so far. Sorry. Yeah, so React is sender dominates receiver, and election reset is sender dominates receiver, and I am also the receiver myself. So it's it is what I'm saying, you know. It's if I am receiver and should react sender's term, sender dominates me. If I am receiver and should react, this is a TS election reset. If I am receiver and should react, sender dominates me. And then this is the whole outcome thing. Does not, no longer requires this code. The unlocks have to happen here because this case actually requires an edit of state variables. Updating my own term, and then putting in the phase change message, phase change to follower. I'm still live, camera, live, and mic, camera. live. Sorry, just check that sometimes so I don't die. Yeah, that's it. That's all I really have to say about that. TS election reset. This is a update. My turn. Become follower. But again, that is a comment that is just not necessary. Otherwise, I do nothing pretty much in both of these cases. I just return 0 and and 1 and nothing else. So it's just in this case that something special happens. God, yeah. I always get a dead ass from sitting down on stream. Actually, I'm gonna have to move my butt. Sorry. Alright, let's just sort out the camera position. Fucking Discord, please. Discord, please. Discord on my phone. I'm still tracking the CP game in Pokemon Go, trying to get onto the to post the Pokemon that I wanted to post. So I'm waiting for one more post and then I am ready to go. Camera, mic, downward tilt. Yeah, let's just do it this way. I'm not too bothered. Cool. Camera, mic, live. Alright, so yeah. Sync terms and return my term minus other term. Yep. All good? Yeah, I'm gonna have to, because I've actually made a slight change in how the program works now. I'm gonna have to do a test. If it doesn't work, I'm honestly not sure what I'm gonna do. Whether or not I should fix it now or actually move on, because I thought I was moving on and gonna start part C like really soon. Go test run 2A. I do want to run both tests 2A and 2B. I'll run them both twice. Oh yeah, I did say I would stress test tests 2A and 2B, run them a million times and try to debug. Yeah, see, this is the kind of problem that I was talking about here that I think potentially I'm not going to be able to resolve easily. Shall we look into, just so we can be completely clear on why the change that I made does not work? Let's look through this and get the exact output on why this actually does have to be equality. To get the, I want to look through the debug log now, just in order that I can identify why what I think should work doesn't work, basically. So I'm going to log the results. Oh, I can't log the result because I don't have debug output on. I should just keep debug output on, shouldn't I? There's no reason not to. Go test run 282 out. It is a shame, you know, when your theory of how something should work doesn't exactly line up to how something actually works / doesn't work in this case. So let's have a look. Excuse me. So what's the situation that what the hell, it passed? This is 2A2, this is the correct test that I'm running, isn't it? Sorry. I mean, this test had not failed for a very long time, so it had better pass now. As in, it had better start failing regularly now so that I can confirm that it's actually not working. Honestly, if it just now starts passing, then what's the point? Listen, I can't believe I'm doing this again. I wanted to move on, but okay. Let's do, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the thing where I test this 10 times and hope that it passes 9 times out of 10. First 2A and then I'm going to test 2B. This is why I turned the debug output off. I have to now fix that up again. Because yeah, if you're doing, you know, repeated testing. Go test run. I definitely, I'm realizing now, this is one thing that I really did not realize with distributed systems initially, is that testing has to be done often, it has to be statistical, you know, you have to just keep at it with the tests, even if something just fails often. Even if something fails tests occasionally, you have to keep running the tests so that you can find the case where it fails, so that you can dig out those obscure reliability problems. And so I don't have, you know, experience of that so much, and so I haven't been haven't been thinking too much about how I can stress test distributed systems. So do lots and lots of tests, and so I don't have any automated infrastructure for how to do that. I'm just running the test 10 times in a row and hoping that it passes most of those times. Yeah, that's the thing. So you know, with my Pokemon Go bot, it was live all the time, and so I would just jump in and fix reliability errors as soon as they happened. I had good debug logs, and so I could just jump in and fix these, and eventually nothing went wrong for 2 months straight. And so that's the way that I sort of removed reliability errors. With this, nothing is running full time, so I need to think of new ways of stress testing. But if you look at this, we have a run of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one was interrupted. Fuck off. Sorry. Just complaining at that thing. That test was interrupted. Okay, fine. Let's run another 4, and then I'll go ahead and hope it's still working correctly. It's a change I made because honestly I believe I should make that up. Really? I got another failure? But I'm not logging the debugging anywhere, so I need to sort out my testing methodology fast. I have decided now, you know, just in light of this and what I was thinking at the end of the last session, I've decided I do want to stress test them, and I also want to get them working most of the time so that I can finish part C. And once I have finished, I'm going to fully stress test them with some, hopefully, slightly automatic method, so that I can then genuinely be sure that the change that I've done works. So like an automated serious stress test is really, that's the kind of stuff that is needed, I feel. Um, I think the change that I have done has made 2A, which is part A of the project, which was about the leader elections and heartbeat cycles. I think it's made that less reliable than it was. But at the same time, I do want that to happen. In that situation where you have the candidate sending a voter a request, and if the candidate dominates the voter should send in an election reset. But what if two things are calling elections at the same time? Then they reset themselves, and it's like the candidate then doesn't have priority anymore. Even if it's already candidates. If something is already a candidate and the candidate is up to date compared to it, then sending in a reset election is not healthy. The thing should be a follower in order for reset election to be triggered in that way, I think. Well, 2B, because it's not really to do with this. 2B mostly assumes that leaders are stably elected. The actual tests for leadership election are in 2A. 2B does re-elect leaders sometimes, but it's it's not really for testing that, so we would expect this to still work. But interesting that I've only just sort of thought of this as being a problem after I was like, oh, I've done part C, but I guess that's just, sorry, nudge the microphone. Fail. That's just how life works. I shouldn't be too annoyed that that's happened. Instead, I'm gonna look in my term sync code and just be slightly more careful about how it works. Candidates. Should a candidate even be allowed to have its vote interrupted? Or should it just be forced to fail its vote? I mean, yes'm. It says here. It says here that if the candidate it says here, sorry, I just had to move my fan, I realised I forgot to move it. It says here that if the candidates, if AppendEntries RPC is received from new leader, it converts to follower. But this is explicitly saying if it's an AppendEntries RPC. AppendEntries in particular. So maybe it was a mistake, yeah. I'm starting to feel increasingly, maybe considering vote request and AppendEntries the same way was a bit of a mistake. Like, if the RPC is AppendEntries, then that should fire an election reset. Strange, isn't it? That's definitely not what I'm doing. It's not just I should be receiver, but it should also be. It should also only be AppendEntries that actually does a reset. But honestly, okay, this is what I'm gonna do to fix this once and for all. This is what I'm gonna do. I am going to fully audit the entire election reset channel. Okay. So I'm going to look at this mechanism for election resets. I'm going to consider all the cases, and I'm going to look at every point where something is sent into election reset and every point where something is read from election reset. See, I'm already way ahead of myself. Here it is. So we can already see at a glance, okay, here election reset is constructed, that's fine. You know, followers and candidates read from election reset, but election reset is only ever sent in this particular line of code, which seems to work most of the time. But I can imagine how doing it in such a generic context will include some cases in which case election reset actually slows down the election cycle, holding unneeded elections, failing the test. Because it's that RNG, you know. Is your code good enough to get the marks in MIT's distributed systems lab? Question. Answer: yeah, if you manage to hit the like 4 out of 5 cases where it works correctly in the tester. But no, I'm sure the tester runs the tests many times, and so that's not too much of a problem. But it doesn't give a statistical benchmark like, oh, if your test passes 90% of the time, you're okay. It just says, oh, if it reliably passes, whatever that means. So fuck it. I definitely want 90%. I think 95% is what I would be happy with, to be honest, with this kind of project. So I mean, followers and candidates both, you know, reset their election cycles in situations where something is sent into election reset, and that's pretty simple. You know, this situation, for example, if an election reset is received, I become follower. If a follower receives an election reset, it just becomes follower again. It tail recurses the code. Tail recurses. So it just, you know, does the same thing again. So the question is more, that's all working correctly. I think the way that election reset is being read by the candidate and the follower is all good. In the middle of an election, reset, become follower. If I'm already the follower, reset, remain follower. But so the problem is with how it's being sent, what triggers an election reset, and we need to be completely precise about that. We already know this is the term sync react. This is the situation. You'll see this written down everywhere. This covers here and here. So it's like if the outcome is less than or equal to 0, then we react. And so that's a concept of whether anything that receives an RPC, if this is react, if react is true and I am a receiver of an RPC, then I should take heed and do something with the RPC. But should I reset election? Only if I am the AppendEntries RPC. Okay, so that's the change that I'm going to make. So the election reset is now not happening in this piece of code because this piece of code covers both AppendEntries and RequestVote RPCs. And in the case of RequestVote, even if I should pay attention to a vote that's coming my way, I should not reset myself necessarily. Instead, I should allow myself to also become the candidate, because I think that will mean that things happen faster. Because then I'm relying on split elections not to happen simply by virtue of either getting a majority by accident or by the election randomization, meaning that, you know, I managed to run my election faster than someone else's. What I'm not allowing to happen is that someone else is running an election at the same time as me. That person, just by sending the vote request, resets me, and I reset the other person as well, and so we both fail our elections. That's why only AppendEntries should reset election, RequestVote should not. I hope that makes sense. That's the change I'm going to make. And that's easy because all I have to do is move it into the AppendEntries code, and I need React to be true, and I need to be the receiver. Yes. If both of those are true, and I am indeed an AppendEntries, then yes, election reset, which really does not require multiple lines of code, just write it like that. So yeah, election reset happens here. If I receive append entries and react is true, meaning that the sender dominates me on term, I reset election. And this is now not happening in general term sync. It's now happening explicitly only in the append entries section. Okay. I think that should work more reliably now than it used to. Election timeouts are not being sent on vote request messages anymore. Compares and syncs terms during RPC exchange. In fact, you know what? Just syncs terms during RPC exchange returns this thing, the comparison. And that's all that this does now. So it also becomes follower. Update term, become follower. So yeah, there has to be a lock and an unlock, and unfortunately the code does have to look this ugly. I guess I could defer an unlock if I wanted the code to be a bit nicer. But I don't know, I think this is fine. Because I have a convention that I always... Phase change requires a lock, right? Oh yeah, no, phase change literally automatically takes up a lock. So if ever I'm running a phase change, it has to be outside of the lock, and so it has to be structured this way. Unlock and then phase change. Okay, let's run the test just to see that what I just changed doesn't mess everything up. Hopefully this will make it more reliable. I bloody well hope so. Append entries received and react is correct, so it's a receiver. It is append entries. It's the receiver, and react is true. Then I do an election reset. Debug is off again. So yeah, once again, I'm just gonna run like my eyes are a bit. Run these tests. Are they running faster, by the way? It used to be that election after network failure was 8.4, 8.6, 6.6, 7.6, 6.0, 9.8. Nah, it seems to be about the same. Hopefully this will just make it more reliable though. Pass the stress tests. I don't have stress tests yet, but I will. That's definitely a thing that I'm going to implement at some point. I just need to, I think about it a bit more. In what way I can automate. That's something I'm just going to Google and read about off stream. Just for a bit. That question of automating stress tests for distributed systems. Or just anything where the tests rely on randomness slightly. Just to see how reliably they pass. So how many have we passed here? 1, 2, 3, 4. We've passed, since we made that change in the code, we've passed 4 tests. I'm going to multitask slightly and keep running these tests. So this is number 6, while continuing with my odyssey of commenting on code, which is what this was supposed to be in the first place. What is this shit? God damn it. Okay, anyway. I can't believe I just made that change just then and there. That was something that I just noticed as I was flicking back through my code, I guess. So what have I been through now? I've been through the candidates. Election reset is triggered by newer leader. And I'm going to put the same thing in the follower code. This is the last time I'm testing 2A, and then I will do 10 tests of 2B as well. For all I know, this might have made it more reliable. Who knows? But yeah, okay. So I went through common and candidate, and just put in a few comments for those. I'm not going to be anal and make sure I've like fully commented in such a way that I'll never have to add another comment. Oh no, that's not what I'm doing. All I'm doing is like putting in a few comments where I think, you know, there should be some just kind of off the cuff comments. Yep, so again, this is just the follower recursion. Equals 0 at first run. Okay, passed first time. So yeah, it's gonna be a while before I run this 10 times, which is why I'm multitasking it with the commenting. You know, printing this, doing the phase change, exiting follower. Here I'm staying follower, just yep. So yeah, newer leader and timeout. Those are the two situations. One of them, I just run my code again, and the other one I change to candidate and stop being a follower. Yeah, I don't know. I don't need this stupid comment either. Don't put comments in where they are not necessary. Okay, leader I think should do with some comments. Reinitialize next index match index. And then yeah, heartbeats, you know, counts beat numbers, as in the number of the heartbeat. Then it runs this, and then yeah, time now and start time, and that's just for benchmarking case. Oh shit, 2143 came through. Well, God, I clicked on the photo of the Houndoom here on the Discord CP train game, and so I didn't see the update that someone posted the next one, and so I was supposed to immediately post mine, but I was almost too late by 2 whole minutes. Wow, that would have been an awful way to lose it. Not, you know, because I had it on my phone here so that I could see a new photo as it came up and then react. But because I clicked the photo, it froze the photo, and so I almost missed it. 2144. Well, it's settled now. I will post another one for 2147, which is my Kingdra. So I've got that lined up now. Just waiting again for another couple of photos. Yeah, so this is just for benchmarking. Let me just flick through the heartbeat quickly before I answer that message. Okay, send heartbeats, reply, define my last index. Where is my last index used? Oh, there. Okay, fair enough. Oh, is that these are the only places my last index is used? So why am I defining it here? It's much better to define it where it's being used, because my last index, my log is not going to be edited by sending heartbeats, or indeed the heartbeat timeout, and so yeah, it makes a lot more sense to define my last index here, closer to where it's being used. What's up? What's up? This is literally the first time anyone I actually know has commented on this stream, and it's been going for like 70 hours or something. I don't even know how long I've been streaming. The whole project so far is just ridiculously long. So yeah, thanks for stopping by. Vatsal's invited me to stay over at his at some point, so I'm sure I'm going to visit Cambridge over the summer at some point. PogChamp, dude. Yeah, I mean, if I were not streaming, I would be watching Wind Waker speedruns, so... Whoops, fucking microphone. Sorry, I nudged the microphone. Oh, for fuck's sake, what did I just do? It's distracting me. Why did you move out of college? Okay, I guess Churchill doesn't guarantee accommodation for PhDs, does it? Oh, by the way, what I'm doing here, I'm running the same test 10 times because I want to make sure it works. Like, I need to figure out a way of stress testing. No, not this. I want to run all the tests for part 2B. Still in Cambridge though, yeah, I got thrown out. Well, I mean, Churchill is at least like building bare new accommodation, so hopefully it's not going to be that much of a problem in future. You know, like... Yeah, so like Chris Sear, for example, right? He's still living in the Pepper Pots. So why did you get kicked out, but he didn't? I'm kind of curious, actually. I have no idea how they do. Maybe it's just random. What? Oh shit! That error that I had came back. So this is what I mean by the stress test. Okay, this is test 1, 2, 3. Wait, what did I fail? 2 tests? Exit status 1. What did I do? I haven't edited the code. It's passed. How many times has the test passed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times it passed, and then the 6th time, this test fails for some reason, and then the 7th test fails because the... Why is it saying exit status 1? Doesn't that mean that it crashed? But I have no like stack trace or anything. Just run the test again, right? No, but seriously, Martin, do you know why you got thrown out and not Chris, for example? If this fails again, I'm gonna cry. I don't think I changed anything, but I'm paranoid I did, because I've never had an exit status 1. I think that means it fully crashed. Did I change something? Because it's just failed again. Yes, I did. I moved my last index to after the heartbeat timeouts. So there's a timeout here that lasts about 0.1 seconds. But that, that's a long time in distributed systems terms. And so I'm checking what my last index is after the timeout instead of before it. And that is causing crashes for some unknown reason. But surely... my log, I am the leader. I think they wanted to give my room to a friend. They offered me in Oxford Street, but that's way too far from engineering. So I moved in with the medics on Rock Road. Well, I mean, I should think so. Oxford Street is in London, right? Kappa. Okay, I don't even know where Oxford Street is or Rock Road, but yeah, fair enough. pressures getting all up in your business. But I mean, Churchill is still one of the unique colleges that like gives everyone, you know, a guaranteed accommodation for 3, maybe even 4 years now. It's really awesome in that regard. Okay, someone posted the Kingler. One more photo, and then I get to post my own photo of a Kingdra. Kingler, not to be confused with Kingdra. I need to set up Francoface Z on my on my channel, don't I? Wait, what's far north? Sorry, Oxford Street or yeah, because engineering is like Peterhouse area, isn't it? So Oxford Street, far north. Fair enough. I don't know anyone who lives there. Arbery. It's got to be Arbery. What else is north? Histon. But why? I asked somebody else which I should get, and he didn't reply, so I just went with Francoface Z. Why is this one better? Yep. So I've managed to introduce a reliable bug in my program by moving the point where I check how long my log is, which seems crazy. How is that a thing that has happened? It's just continually failing. What I'm going to do is, okay, if I move this back to where it was originally, i.e. before the heartbeat timeout. Is it a race condition? Because no, it's not a race condition because it's under the law. This is a nonsense, I tell you. I'm going to put it back to where I originally put it, which is, no, please don't. Sorry, got distracted. I'm going to put it back to where I originally put it, which is, where was it originally? I can just Control Z. Yep, so just in the send heartbeat section, I figured. Oh my god. Pretty much. I would have, for real though, I would have loved if I could have found a distributed systems project that was a real world project as well, rather than just some random labs from some shitty university called MIT. But it's not possible, is it, to do a hobbyist project in distributed systems, because hobbyist projects are small and distributed systems are big. So you can't just make one that actually has a real world use, because it's just better done by one computer probably. Alright, I put it back to where it was. Do the test pass now. I still have no idea what even changed here. So now that I've put it back where it originally was, I can just like accept that the previous 4 tests all worked. Yeah, see, it's passing again. Alright, never mind. Sorry, what was I even doing before? I tried to make a trivial change and it turned out to not work. I'm really curious. I don't get why this changed anything. Like, the leader's log does not get edited anywhere. Here it gets read and assigned to this thing. It doesn't get edited anywhere. And so how can this number change from here to here? Even though there is a timeout, but like, what could the leader possibly have done? It's not like it stops being a leader and then starts being a leader again. It must be leader the whole time, and this is the only code that the leader runs. A leader runs. And the leader never edits its... the leader does edit its log at random when data is passed into it. That happens concurrently. You have no idea when it happens, but when the client sends data in to the leader just immediately puts it on its log. And so it is possible, okay, that means that it's possible for the log to get longer between here and this timeout and here. But why should these, the next index, wait, my last index is not, oh yeah, it is, no, sorry. Yeah, in the case of success, that means that everyone is fully up to date, right? And so I'm setting these indices that are telling the leader how to treat its followers to represent the most up-to-date data there is. But apparently that's been causing it to crash, even though like all that's happened is, okay, maybe some new data arrived, fine. So my log got longer, but surely setting this just in time is fine because like I want to have the latest information possible here. Why was that causing an error? The thing is, I don't want to debug it. I don't want to look through the error log and figure out what happened. So therefore, I am just, that is the last I'm saying about this. I swear down. You think MapReduce is hard compared to the Raft? MapReduce was a walk in the fucking park. It only took me like 7 sessions, whereas I'm on, I think, what does it say, 23 for Raft. Oh man, yeah. MapReduce, honestly, I don't think it was that hard to code. I took my time, so I made a detailed sketch in Notepad. And then when I coded it, it just worked. I don't know, there wasn't too much wrong. It was kind of... MapReduce is not that distributed if you think about it, because... why is it not distributed? There's no fault tolerance, really. If something goes wrong, it just gets restarted, and I don't know. I don't really remember too much about MapReduce. But yeah, fair enough. How do I even test it? Well, the answer is I've just been using MIT's tests, which are the coursework submission tests. So MIT provided its own tests because this is... Yeah, that's a good point. You know, if I 2146. So I post my own Pokemon now. Yeah, cool. Wait, hang on. I want to put in a note here. Sorry, I'm getting distracted because I'm on Discord posting Pokemon I want the CPs to... All the CPs are increasing one by one in the channel, and so I want to post the Pokemon that I want to post. But I have to wait for the right CP to come up, so I just had my phone open here, like 2147, Kingdra. And I'm gonna say possibly my first 100 IV thing. Okay, that's enough of that. I'm not getting distracted by that anymore. It was just 2 Pokemon that came up. Sorry. Yeah, I presume you're not talking about the Pokemon, but by the MIT tests. Yeah, I was gonna say before I got distracted by that I think it would have been even harder and more interesting to have to make the tests yourself. But at the same time, if you have no experience of distributed systems, it's like, how do I even know that my tests are good enough? You can't, because with like my Pokemon Go bots, I was testing it in the real world. So is my bot good enough? Yes, like everyone was using it, it was working correctly, there was no downtime, it was all good. But with this kind of thing, I don't really have real world tests for Raft. I have no idea what Raft is even for, and so okay, yeah, designing my own test is probably out of the question. But yeah, it's an interesting question though. Like these tests, like they have actual RNG in them, right? So when I last left it, this is before I messed it up, before I fucked it up. See how it's passing. Well, these tests fail approximately every 1 in 10 times. So I don't actually know how you test how to stress test this. I guess I need to automate doing the tests, but then I only need to keep the debug log from when it fails. So it's just something I'm going to think about in the future. Yeah. Also, yeah. Sorry, I'm not really doing any work because the past few streams, I finished a really difficult section. And so now I'm between sections, which are like the least productive time. And so what I'm doing is just going through and putting in some comments in case, I don't know, some employer wants to read it or something. And then I'll just read a quick thingy that MIT wrote, some guide, and then I'll start part C. Part C is it's about persistence. It's about if the server fully gets shut down, how it recovers state, basically. Cool. But yeah, I mean, I always post when my next stream is going to be, and I always post what I'm going to be doing in the next stream. So I've kind of gone on a tangent this stream, unfortunately, but I think I'll still have time to at least read through Part C. So that will happen towards the end, just before midnight, hopefully. I want my keyboard. Yeah. So where was I? This thing has to be here for some reason. It's a nonsense, I told you, it's a nonsense. But see, the test is just passing now, so. Yep, so the heartbeats are getting sent out here. Heartbeat timeout, leader check, and then here. I'm reading success. This is still under a lock. Oh yeah, but replies is not the thing that's being locked. The state variables are the things that are locked. So replies is actually vulnerable to race condition because it gets this loop here sends out a message to all the other servers. And the replies get recorded in replies, so you have the reference to replies. This is like C pointer notation. In Go, it's the same notation. So the replies get saved into this replies variable, but that replies variable gets accessed here. And we have the race condition, but that's fine, because implicitly I'm using it as a timeout. So replies success defaults to false. And so if it gets set to true, cool. If it was going to get set to true, but there was a race condition, also cool, that's a timeout. In other words, right? So that's what the point of this is. Times out RPC if implicitly times out RPC response. Yeah, that does what I... So I think that's quite a cool design decision. You deliberately have a race condition. I think that's cool. And then this is all according to how the algorithm works, so I don't think it requires too many comments, because my comments are more about how I implemented it rather than how the algorithm itself works. So I'll leave that uncommented. So here, all of this is just all this shit is just intended to figure out what the majority is. Let me just write that here. So I'll put in a note. Max commit is maximal commit index such that strict majority greater than or equal to it. So I just typed greater than or equal to using a keyboard shortcut that you should definitely reprogram your keyboard if you haven't already, because it's so easy to type like accents and dashes and things. If you just learn your own new keyboard layout, I can type Serbian quite easily. Can easily just type that using my modified keyboard. All right. Yep. So maximal commit index such that strict majority, and so max commit requires this sort in order for it to be correctly computed. Copy and sort. So yeah, this does what it says on the tin. Oh wait, sorry. This does what it says on the tin, as in apply entries always happens when commit index is incremented. But this is all about find find a maximal commit index. Oh, sorry, this should be match index, shouldn't it? Yeah. These are all, yeah. It's what match index and commit index are is technical and not worth worrying about too much for my purposes at the moment. Find maximal commit index such that satisfying this. Yeah, cool. But by the way, Martin, if you're still here, you should tell more people to jump on my stream, like people I actually know, because like this is such a prime opportunity for trolling. And so far, I've had about 30 sessions. Nobody, other than I've had people who are actually just found me on Twitch randomly, but no one I actually know. Like I'm kind of surprised because I'm at the moment replying to every single comment. So yeah, just saying. Let's check that this is working correctly. Kind of chuck this back a bit. This is still in focus, right? Yeah, I'm happy with that. So I'm still live, 2 hours in. Dear Lord, so much chat has happened today that I've actually barely done anything today. Yep, camera, microphone, still live. So yeah, let's get a move on. Maximal match index such that strict majority. I actually deleted this by accident. Greater than or equal to it. E.g. len equals 7. Len equals 8. I want the. I'm really annoyed that my keyboard keeps getting disabled. I don't know why that happens. Yep, that now basically does what it says on the tin. Just a bit of implementation detail. Okay, so that's the leader. I've been through that. Let's go through the interface code. Is there anything here I want to edit? Obviously, the struct variables, the timeouts do what they say on the tin. Struct variables are just according to the specification. This is some bullshit that is really not necessary for the rest of the code. Persist. Part C. Get hype. Start. Gets leader, gets term. This is something that I fixed. Is leader, if is leader is true, then I append to my log have lock, so can determine index ahead of, so can determine index basically. So this is important because I think previously I had start running. Start is allowed to run concurrently, but because there's a lock, everything gets, like, there is a definitive order in which, because every time start is run, the thing that's sent through start gets appended to the log of the server that receives it. And so you don't know in which order things will get appended to the log. But the fact that you have a lock means that you can just in time determine when something has happened and return that without any problems, basically. And so being able to pick the index at which, that's why that's why Raft as a whole, the leader can reliably say, okay, this is the index in which I've received your command, and immediately return it because it picks up the log to determine it every time the command is issued. And so one of the tests, you can see it here, is about running start concurrently, and that was failing initially because one of my bugs was that I was completely guessing index without taking the log, and there's disaster. C'est un désastre. Streaming programming is the new rubber duck debugging. What do you mean rubber duck? I've never heard that phrase. And I also can't tell if this is a smiley or if you're just referring to like the post above. Learn to communicate, nub. JK. What's going on? Sorry. Yep. Yeah, just reliably determine index. You know, I append the entry to my own log. Blah 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 blah. Done. Kill. Yeah. Okay. This is I have to lock in order to stop Raft instance. Can't terminate process between tests. Yeah, because I was having the problem that different tests were interfering with each other because fuckeries. Yeah, and just timeout is just, yeah, it does what it says in the sim. Okay. Make is just okay. Some initializations become follower. Oh yeah, apply entries no longer needs to be run here. You know a debugging methods where you explain your code to a rubber duck. Ah. Yeah. No, that's exactly what it is. I can't believe this has its own Wikipedia article. Like, it says what it does on the tin. I'll take a look at that later off the stream. But like, I guess it's one of those things that's like you forget to do it sometimes. You know, it's kind of like understanding things by explaining them to yourself, or explaining them to someone else, even better. But it's easy to forget to do it. Whereas because I'm streaming, absolutely everything has been done that way. You know, I've been. It has slowed me down to an extent because I've been. Things that I feel are not clear to someone who's watching, I will often re-explain them a few times, and that's a bit of a time loss. But on the whole, yeah, that's I've been forcing myself to say, you know, to explain everything as I'm doing it, and so there's been that's been useful. The new rubber duck. Well, a side effect, but one that I've paid for by just everything taking so much longer than it would otherwise. This no longer needs to be here. Oh yeah, Martin, you'll like this. I was actually telling to the guy who was on the stream earlier. So this apply entries thing, like there are two monotonically increasing variables in every server. And when one of them increases, like we have the condition if the other one is less than the other one, is the first one. So one of them is increased by something else, and then the other one gets if the condition is, you know, if the last applied is less than commit index, then we increment last applied and do the apply. And so we loop that until last applied matches commit index. But commit index is edited by something else in the code. So what I was doing, because of the way that it's written here, it's like, this should be, all servers are checking this all the time. So I ran a separate thread with an infinite loop that every loop instance it locked the state variables, did this check, unlocked, and called itself. So it was just the performance hit from doing that was just I was infinite looping a lock over and over again, rather than what I then realized I could do is just every time the code edits commit index, I put in a concurrent call to apply entries. So that's why this is here, because in the initial, at the very beginning of the program, I was starting this infinite loop of lock and unlock, and the amount of performance hit that my code took as a result of that was just abominable. It was just ridiculous, and so it took me 4 hours to find out that that was what was causing the slowdown. And it was just such a noobish mistake to make. I'm really annoyed with myself, but yeah, that happened. What's wrong with this? Can't type into the. I'm not seeing things. That has been recorded on the stream. How many times have I run this? I think I've run it enough times now. This I did just change something, but it's a minor change. I'm pretty sure it's not going to fail because of that. Yeah. So there's nothing else that needs to be. Oh, you also like this because Go is a bit. I don't want to say Go is shit because Go is a nice language, but like it is a bit shit because I had to define my own minimum function. There is a minimum function, but it only takes floats, and so it was either this or just explicitly typecast things into float and then back again, which is like, so yeah, nonsense. So okay, I've been through that one, so just 2 files left and then I'm done. Whoops. Okay, check that the stream is still working. Streamlabs. Sick one. I still don't watch Dota. I do watch a bit of Smash Melee. Not really. I want to get into it though. This emote, by the way, is like just so bad. I don't understand why people use it. But yeah, see you later. Thanks for stopping by. Also, yeah, seriously, just tell people to stop by. I need to get trolled more often. It's fun. See you later. And yeah, I'll tell you when I'm coming to Cambridge. Vatsol. Oh my god, Vatsol lives on like the opposite. Oh, but if you're in engineering, you're not that far away from the station. Seems good. Okay. Cool. So yes, let's go through append entries. If React, do an election reset, set success, merge log. Merge log is now in 1 line. It used to be in 10 lines, but this is just so much more elegant. Full overwrites, and then yeah, apply update commit index, and there's your apply entries. Oh my god, console! What the hell? Oh, I've copied the wrong thing. That's why this is messed up. Look, fuck off, mate. M9. Why you treat me like this? Control C. Thanks, Bash. I really, I would never have known that this command does not exist. 8:::. Yeah, merge log. Yeah, I don't think any of this requires any more information. Await reply here. If not okay, IE RPC timeout. Reply with that shit. Hang on just a sec. Okay. Camera, mic. I'm not going to say why I muted the mic just now. You can use your imagination. RPC timeout, other term is set to reply term, my term, rf.term sync. Oh yes, I'm looking at the sender. Yeah, that's what happens if there's a timeout. Otherwise, nothing much happens. I just run a term sync at the end. Sorry, my mouth is a bit buggy today. Term sync. I may as well put in just these comments saying this is where term sync happens. It happens at the beginning of the receiver and at the end of the sender, because this is kind of like the beginning of the response handler, because we wait for the reply and then do this stuff. But not quite at the beginning, because we also have this, but yeah, in the case of timeouts, obviously term sync should not be happening, so that's fine. The structs don't need to be commented. And request votes, your code here. Thanks. Thanks, MIT. Actually, I don't need your code here to be there anymore. It's done now. Term sync is this. Payloads. If React, we do the lock. Votes for at most one per term. But it's allowed to revote for the same one. Then it does the voter test, which is this long sentence. I don't particularly know why that is it, but yeah. Data up to date test. And then yeah, send request vote, which is the same as it's ever been. Nothing to really annotate here. I'm going to just put in a couple of new lines. And I'll do those new lines here as well, because it looks a bit nicer. Okay, we're done. What does it say here? Could deadlock. If I reply into the done channel with vote granted. What is the done channel here? Oh yeah, the done channel is the channel that the votes are going into. So the thing, it collects votes in done channel. Reply, vote granted. Could deadlock? Well, yes, it could, but I mean, it's not going to deadlock. Or at least that bug has not, in practice, crept up. It's just a theorized bug. I've left the buffer so that the candidate which sends out the votes has enough space in the buffer to receive votes from everyone once. But if like 2 election cycles happen at the same time, this could get blocked. So, I don't know. I think it's fine. I think it's fine as it is. Persistence could make this a bit more difficult, because we're relying on the fact that the candidate sends out all these votes and it receives them. It's there to receive them. So if the candidate crashes and all these votes are coming in, then we could end up with more votes in the vote granted channel than there should be, if there are because if it's sent off another vote after, and it receives all these vote granteds from the previous vote, then that could overflow the buffer. So persistence could break this, but that's such a spurious theory that I'm not even going to worry about it for now. That's it. Okay, finished. I've put in all the extra comments that I wanted to, and I also fixed a little bug. It's not even necessarily a bug, it's more just I made a change to how election reset works. Added comments plus edited election reset. The bit of election reset I edited was the sending into the election reset channel is now different. It's only AppendEntries that does it, whereas previously RequestVote was allowed to do it, which I think is a bad thing. Okay, so this is all sorted. Now I'm going to look through how many of my 2B tests passed, other than the ones that failed because I made that change that doesn't work for some reason. Test that passed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so we had those 2 fails with exit status 1. 3 fails, in fact. And before that, we had another 1, 2, 3. Well, I mean, either way, it passed 12 times in a row and 4 times before the edit. So that's more reliable than it's ever been. And I think possibly I've fixed it now. That little change that I made to election reset might have made it more reliable. Who knows? Okay, so I'm drawing a line there. What? Ow! I keep typing a README. I keep editing my GitHub README on GitHub, and shit. Okay, let's do a git pull and hope that I can fix it. Oh, it's actually managed to do a merge without me having to manually fix it. I don't know. That's the first time Git has ever been intelligent enough to merge my README or any other file without having to actually make a change. That's camera, mic, live. Yeah, just had to change my camera slightly. Every time so far in my life when I've done a git pull and there's been a merge conflict, it's not failed to resolve it. So I'm impressed that it managed to resolve it now. Hopefully it's done it right. I don't care too much about the readme. Git push. Okay. Done. That's it. Okay, so enough of the source code editor. The only other thing really that I wanted to do today at all was to... there are a couple of other things that I wanted to do, so I guess I will do them now. I'm just going to take a... Okay, I'll tell you what. The reading the guide to Raft, I said I would do that off stream. I'm going to do that off stream anyway. I'll do it off stream just a bit later because I didn't get around to reading it before I started streaming. So it's just a little text file that MIT made. It's up on their project page. I'll check that out and tell you what I think next stream. That means that realistically, what I am going to do next is read part C, start part C, read through it. And I don't have much time in which to do that, but I do want to read it, just so I can get my mind subconsciously thinking about what's to come. Okay? So I'm just going to edit my camera and say I'm going to be back in 5 minutes because I want to just take a 5-minute break in order to just check out gifts in Pokemon Go. Now is the best time of the day to actually do that, believe it or not, with the most recent updates. Read part C. Okay, thank you. And yeah, back text is up, so I'll be right back. Oh shit, I don't even need to leave. I don't even need to leave. The phone is right here, so I can just yeah, I can just do it straight off my phone. But yeah, I'm just gonna be chilling. Do you know what? I'm gonna go off stream. I'm gonna go off, as in I'm gonna disappear for 5 minutes, regardless. Simply because I don't want people to walk in while I'm doing this, and I'm like doing something completely random. So I'm just gonna bugger off for a sec. Be up. Long cars. Fucking almost full half-liter bottle of water knocked it off my shelf, window ledge. Camera, mic. Camera, mic. Okay, so what I will do quickly, because this is really definitely the best time of the day for it, just before midnight. So my friends, yep, listing. My Pokemon Go friends log. I'm gonna just go through and update that. I have about 50 friends, and thanks to the recent Pokemon Go update, going through is just a matter of looking for the blue halos next to people's names. So I can just do that. In fact, I may as well just go ahead and update all the numbers. Actually, no, I'll do that later. I'll just put in primes saying this needs to be incremented. SRB. Oh, nothing from animal. No animal today. Rorco. It's nice that I have a name to all these. All these names have a face for me, right? So I know these people either. Actually, not necessarily a face in every case, but certainly I have some idea of their personality because with either most of them I've actually met in real life, but some of them I only know through chatting on Discord or whatever. But at the same time, having names to faces, just no some notion of identity to everyone's face is cool. So Herpal and Ling are both blocked because we need to become Ultra. They're at the top, waiting to hit 30. Lazet. Oh damn, Amrit and Draugen were both ripped today. They're both allowed to rip, thankfully. Ben scans, and 2 minutes before this thing just resets, I have to go through a bit more quickly. Charlie and Homerton. Homerton like the Cambridge College / area of London, Hackney. The college was actually originally in Hackney, hence the name. No Kyoshi, Pika and Xander. Keep scrolling. Dev. No Jigs. Probably Arrow. Arrow always comes through. And then everyone here is more or less useless. Okay, Pi is just new, not useless. But yeah, everyone below that should be. Oh yeah, I have actually a new friend called Chris. Cool, yep, I managed to update that in time, so now I can just close it. Forget about it. May as well spin this Pokestop while I'm at it, get an extra gift, possibly. God, the lag on this phone is unreal. Okay, cool. Did I post my second Pokemon? On Discord, the Kingdra. Oh yeah, I did, didn't I? Kingdra is up on Discord. Very nice. Cool, I'm finished with that. Alright, sorry for being so, oh god, scatterbrain distracted all over the place today. Take the hat off. Alright, so, listen up. Okay, what I'm going to do now, as soon as I've checked my camera focus, is actually start on part C. Camera. Focus is good today, I'm liking it. No, please don't minimize Streamlabs. Okay, it's still working. Camera, mic, live. Part C. Swear down. I was initially going to do this at the very beginning of my stream, but then I decided I wanted to put in those comments and read through that scrap. And all of that is, really short, like about 10 minutes of work. Except for that bug that I found, which added another 5 minutes. 15 minutes, but it ended up taking 2 hours as well. Plenty of chat on the stream today. That's, part of the reason it's slow. So yeah, I like it. I really very much like having chat on stream. Sick. Okay, so let's do it. Really nothing to say except let's read through part C. Get an idea, scope the project, see what we're going to be working on, what is to come. Oh shit, it's not. Am I still on the internet? How do I check if I'm still on the internet? Load YouTube is a seems good. Uh, 7 hours ago, yeah, I think it's okay. It's just the MIT has crashed. This is interesting. I can't access the labs, but this page works. Does it? Google Cache to the rescue. So I'm googling MIT Raft. The Raft project page, here it is. Google Cache, come through, save my ass. Here it is. Yeah, I guess MIT's website just went down. Okay, so let's get on with it. This seems to be missing all of the formatting. Was there even any formatting? There was some formatting. This is like text-based. Alright, reading through part 2C. That's it. Let's do it. That's all that we're doing today. Do a git pull to get the latest lab software. If I did that, I would probably get a bunch of merge conflicts because I edited the test, but that's probably good. I would just overwrite them with the old ones. The actual tests that MIT is using, which I intend to do at the end anyway, just as a final check to see that I'm not passing tests just because I moved the goalposts, If a Raft, okay, let's get scrolling. Control Shift, yeah. If a Raft-based server reboots, it should resume service where it left off. That's the basic premise of Part C. Persistence. This requires that Raft keep a persistent state that survives a reboot. For the paper's figure 2, which is the blueprint, mentions which state should be persistent. Okay, good to know. And Raft.go contains examples. This is the interface file. Oops. Raft.go, the file that has Raft interface with the outside world. That Raft.go contains examples of how to save and restore persistent states. Great, I'm going to have to root around looking for examples. Come on, gang, let's look for clues. A real implementation would do this by writing Raft's persistent states to disk each time it changes. Seems legit. Why doesn't this one do that? And reading the latest saved state from disk when restarting after a reboot. Sounds good. Your implementation won't use the disk. Instead, it will save and restore persistent state from a persister object, see persister.go. Whoever calls Raft.make supplies a persister that initially holds Raft's most recently persisted state, if any. Raft should initialize its state from that persister and should use it to save its persistent state each time the state changes. Use the persister's read Raft state and save Raft state methods. I mean, this is like the most standard interface for saving state, or indeed saving any files that are then read afterwards. Literally just save and open in any program. I don't see why they're not just using the disk. It may as well. It was using the disk when it shouldn't have been using the disk in the MapReduce project. But now it's I don't know. Who knows? Complete the functions persist and read persist in Raft.go by adding code to save and restore persistent state. So persist is save save state, isn't it? Add encode to save and restore persistent state. You will need to encode or serialize the state as an array of bytes in order to pass it to the persister. Use the lab gob encoder we provide to do this. See the comments in persist and read persist. Lab gob is derived from Go's gob encoder. Go byte, I guess, is what gob is. I don't know. The only difference is that lab gob prints error messages if you try to encode structures with lowercase field names, much like the lab RPC thing, which prints errors if you send RPC names with lowercase field names. You now need to determine at what points in the Raft protocol your servers are required to persist their state, and insert calls to persist in those places. Read persist is literally just, there is already a call to read persist in raft.make. Obviously you only need to read persist when you're loading it up again. Once you've done this, you should pass the remaining tests. You may want to first try to pass the basic persistence test just to check you've implemented the persistence correctly, I guess. Go test run test persist 12c, which I've just called, no sorry, that's test persist 1 2c, which I've renamed. I haven't renamed it, I just added the 1. I added the number 1 after the c so that I can just call it by typing in 2c1 with the regex test finder, and then tackle the remaining ones. Go test run 2c. In order to avoid running out of memory, hint hint, Raft must periodically discard old log entries, but you do not have to worry about this until the next lab. Why not have it in this lab so that this comes back to bite me in the ass? Many of the 2C tests, Many of the 2C tests involve servers failing and the network losing RPC requests or replies. In order to pass, servers failing and RPCs just getting lost, which hasn't happened so far. In order to pass some of the challenging tests towards the end, such as those marked unreliable, you will need to implement the optimization. To allow a follower to back up the leader's next index by more than one entry at a time. Because the blueprint does say if there is a failure for an AppendEntries, then next index is decremented, so it goes down by one entry. But the follower needs to be able to find some way of replying in such a way that the leader knows it can decrement much further. Okay. See the description in the extended Raft paper starting at the bottom of page 7 and the top of page 8, marked by a grey line. Thanks, MIT. The paper is vague about it. Only academics could write references like this. The paper is vague about the details. You will need to fill in the gaps, perhaps with the help of the lectures. No lectures for me still. I've made it this far without lectures. I'm just gonna trial and error my way through it the way I usually do. A reasonable amount of time to consume for the full set of Lab 2 tests, 2A, B, and C, is 4 minutes of real time and 1 minute of CPU time. 4 minutes real time is so far I'm on about 1 and a bit minutes, so I guess some of the tests in part C are quite difficult. It's kind of like a final, the final testing, I guess. You'll code the test to end all the other sections completely as well, stress tests. Your code should pass all the 2C tests as shown below, as well as the 2A and B tests. Yeah, because A and B, it's not just that they are handling their respective sections, the respective bits of implementation, but also the tests are weaker naturally because this lab is submitted in sequential weeks, and so it's like, okay, well, let's be less strict in the first week, but then by the end, you should have gone back and improved everything, fixed all the problems that came up in the later test naturally anyway, because they get shown up by something else in the Raft algorithm that got implemented later on, basically. Yep. So how many tests are there? There are actually 8 tests. Hand-in procedure is just the usual one. Please run all the tests one final time. Some bugs may not appear on every run, so run the test multiple times. That's what I've been doing. Yep, and then yeah, you just do this shit and it's all good. Okay. Okay. There's not much to say here. We serialize state. We have to figure out when to save state. Implement the thing that saves the state, the thing that reads the state. Okay, we don't need to figure out when state is read because that's just done on initialization. Yeah, and that's really it. Like, you know, we're not worrying about discarding old entries yet. Fine. And then there's just this thing talking about the optimization that needs to also be implemented. So, okay, there's one change. This is telling me there's one change that's going to need to be made in the, you know, RPC AppendEntries exchange for how next index is modified in the case of success fail. So that's one thing that we're going to be thinking about. And then we'll just try to code persist and yeah. Part of me thinks, you know, this stuff about persistence doesn't really require planning. The only bit that requires planning is thinking about when is a good time to save. You know, so that's just going to require a bit of intuition. When in the code is a good time to save the state variables. So obviously, perhaps, you know, just any time you unlock is a reasonable time to save state variables. That's a basic strategy that we could go. So because the lock and unlocks, the mutex there surrounds the state variables. And so every time an unlock is done, we're kind of done with the state for the time being. So just before we unlock, we save state. And obviously all state exchanges, yeah, all state saving should be done obviously within the within the lock, because it's reading state a lot. So yeah, just that, figuring out a strategy for that, doing the optimization, and then just running the damn tests and hoping that they work. And also, yeah, just implementing read and save state methods. I'm gonna honestly that doesn't seem to require planning. So honestly, I am just gonna YOLO this. I'm gonna YOLO code this because why not? It doesn't seem to require any planning, and I have no idea what the problems are going to be until I start it. But the thing about figuring out when the persistence should be done, and also implementing this optimization, I'll do that before I YOLO code it, and then we'll test it and then just hope for the best. So in a nutshell, that's what's happening tomorrow night, next sesh. Nothing more to say, to be honest, other than today took a crazy long time. You know, the amount of real work I've done is literally about. Wait, is that 12? Yeah, literally 15 minutes. The rest was just kind of I wanted to put in some extra comments in my code, and okay, I did fix a bug, but it was a really small one. It was just a reliability enhancement, but it's improved it. It's made it closer to what it should be theoretically in practice. And then I just spent all that time chatting, which is cool. I'm happy to have done that. This just means that the stream's a bit longer, but I'll cut it up accordingly so that it's clear what's happened. Yeah, that's it. Back. Oh shit! Did I say Friday at 12 p.m. for the next set? 12 p.m. That was supposed to be tomorrow evening, wasn't it? You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna stick to that. Yeah, I was gonna do the next session tomorrow evening, but Do you know what? I'm going to do it tomorrow at 12 p.m. because why the hell not? At least that way I will have got some work done rather than just spend all this time chatting. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. So yeah, all good. Yeah, no real need to even do anything. You know, not much has changed since the last stream. Just going to pick it up again with session 24 at 12 p.m. 12 p.m. British Summer Time. Okay, cool. Thanks everyone following, hanging out, chatting. Hijack the stream whenever you like. It's all good. It's very nice and relaxing, to be honest. Had a nice chill stream. Didn't do much, but what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Cool. 12 p.m. Friday. I am back, starting persistence, having read through it. There doesn't seem to be that much to be done, but a lot of final testing and that shit. And you know, I'm feeling close to the end of Raft now. That smile is genuinely how I feel about that. What can I say? Cool. Later, guys. 12 p.m. tomorrow, which is in literally 12 minus 17 hours. Cool. As in, sorry, 12 hours minus 17 minutes. See ya.